All right, welcome. So, you want to get started with R for data analysis, but maybe it feels a little intimidating. Well, you've come to the right place. We are going to totally demystify those first steps and show you that it is way more approachable than you think. Okay, let's jump right in. But first, I have a question for you. What on earth could coding possibly have to do with making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I know, it sounds weird, right? But trust me, this one simple idea is the absolute key to unlocking the mindset you need to really get good at R.
And that brings us right to our first big idea, getting into the right mindset. You know, you can forget all those Hollywood scenes of some hacker typing like a maniac. At its heart, coding is really just something we all do every single day, giving clear instructions.
Just think about that sandwich again. If you tell a friend, hey, make me a peanut butter and J, they know exactly what you mean. But if you tell that to a computer or, a very literal robot, you're going to get pure chaos. You have to say, open the bag of bread, take out 2 slices, put them on the counter. You get the idea. A computer needs that exact level of detail because it does precisely what you tell it to do. Nothing more and definitely nothing less.
You know, this quote just nails it. The best code isn't just for the machine to understand. It's for other people. And, let's be honest, for your future self. When your code is clear, when it's logical, you're not just writing instructions, you're actually communicating your entire thought process.
So, if coding is all about giving instructions, we're going to need a language to do it in. Let's start looking at the basic grammar of R, starting with its most fundamental, most important building block.
Say hello to the vector. This is probably the simplest and most common way R stores information. Seriously, just think of it like a shopping list, a single column of items all lined up in a row. It is the foundation for pretty much everything else we're going to build today.
And check out how simple it is to make one. Over on the left, we're creating a numeric vector. We use that little C function. You can just think of it as combine to hold our numbers. And on the right, we do the exact same thing for text. We just have to make sure we put the text inside quotes. That's it. Seriously, you just learned how to store data in R.
But hang on, what happens if you try to mix them? This is a really important rule in R. A vector can only hold one type of data. So when you combine numbers and text, R has to make a choice, and it always converts everything to the most flexible type, which in this case is text. See how the numbers 1 and 4 now have quotes around them? That's a huge thing you remember as you're working. Always be mindful of your data types.
Okay, so now we know how to store information. The next question is, how do we do things with it? And that's where we get our power tools, functions, and packages. These are the things that turn R from a basic calculator into a data science powerhouse.
Let's say we want to find the average of 2 numbers. We could do it by hand, just like this. Simple enough, right? But this method really doesn't scale very well.
I mean, what if you had 1,000 numbers? This is where functions completely save the day. The mean function does all that work for us instantly. We just give it the numbers from 1 to 1,000, and it handles everything behind the scenes. This is the absolute core of working smart in R.
I just love this quote from the source material. It perfectly captures the spirit of what good programming is all about. It's not about being lazy in a bad way, right? It's about being smart, being efficient. If you ever find yourself doing something really repetitive and tedious, I guarantee there's a function out there to automate it for you.
So, where do all these amazing functions even come from? Well, they come bundled up in packages. And a great way to think about packages is like this. If R is your phone, then packages are the apps you install to give it brand new powers, whether that's making cool charts, analyzing text, or even building machine learning models.
Okay, we've got the mindset down. We've learned some of the language, and we've acquired the tools. It is time to put it all together and actually do some real work. Let's build and analyze our very first data set.
Hey, remember those vectors we made earlier? We're going to do that again. We'll create 3 of them. 1 for employee names, 1 for what they majored in, and 1 for how long they've been at the company. Then, we'll use this great function called data.framework to stitch those individual lists together into one single, organized table.
And there it is, our very own data frame. This is the standard format for doing data analysis in R. You see, each row is an observation, in this case, an employee, and each column is a variable, or a piece of information about them. It's clean, it's tidy, and now it's ready for us to ask it some questions.
So let's ask our first one. Looking at our table, how can we tell R, hey, show me just the employees who have been with the company for exactly 10 years?
This is how. Now, I know this code might look a little strange at first glance, but it's incredibly logical. Let's just break it down. We start with our table, team. Those square brackets are how we tell R we want to filter it. Inside, we put our condition. We want the rows where the time at company column is exactly equal to 10. That double equal sign is just R's way of asking a question, is this true? And the comma at the end, that just means, and give me all the columns for those rows. Just like that, you've queried your very first dataset.
Now let me tell you something. You're going to get stuck. I promise. Everybody does. But the secret to being a good programmer isn't knowing everything by heart. It's being really, really good at finding answers when you don't know something.
And here is your toolkit for getting unstuck. Right inside R itself, you can just type a question mark before any function name to pull up the official documentation. For trickier problems, the community over at Stack Overflow has almost certainly answered your question before. Modern AI assistants can be incredible tutors. And if you want hands-on practice, tools like Swirl can teach you R interactively right there in the console.
So, there you have it. We went all the way from a peanut butter sandwich to building and analyzing your very first dataset. You've learned the mindset, the basic grammar, and the tools. You now have the power to ask questions of data and get real answers. So the only real question left is, what story are you going to tell?